What's up, everybody? I'm here once again to tell you that the quarterback tracking guides are for sale. If you want to learn the game in a different level, if you guys want to be able to track what some of these quarterbacks are doing and have this to go back and review and look at when you guys kind of get into the flow of wanting to have conversations, this is the journal or the guide for you. Link is in the description below to buy.
What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL World? How you doing, Division Rivals? This is Steven Hyder, Gate City Sports Media Company. The sports media company where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. Sorry, guys, I'm in my car outside of a shopping center. My wife's getting her hair done. I had to drive her up here real quick. Um, Interesting news broke, right? I saw an article where they're writing about the most interesting team in the 2022 offseason will be the Philadelphia Eagles, which is pretty cool. A couple of things that they highlighted in there I kind of agree with. Which, number one, which I think is a really cool kind of side effect of this, is the fact that because we have 3 first-round picks, I mean, it automatically is going to add a lot of intrigue because while it's not that rare for a team to have this many first-round picks, it doesn't happen necessarily every single offseason either. So when you got a team that just made the playoffs is now going to have an exponentially more difficult schedule the following season, but has the cap flexibility and the draft picks to then basically build upon, it adds a lot of intrigue. Like there's definitely some intrigue around what the Philadelphia Eagles are going to do this offseason to basically keep pace with that increased difficulty in the scheduling. And I do think that's something that often gets left out of the conversation is when you overachieve. So when you have a football team that overachieves, right, it comes together as a unit and really overachieves, that next season you do kind of get stuck in this weird place to where you've got a more exponentially difficult schedule. Can you build your roster to match the schedule strength you're going to have now? And I do think that adds an element of like, okay, this is going to be pretty cool to see how the Eagles respond to this. The number two thing they talked about is in conjunction with those 3 first-round picks is their perceived instability at the quarterback position in Philadelphia. I don't know what the front office truly thinks about the quarterback position, guys. I mean, I'm not in there. I don't get to hear the conversations. But this article in particular said that they don't know exactly where the Eagles stand on Jalen Hurts. Not saying that they're going to move on or not, just saying that it adds a lot of intrigue to see, do they package all this draft capital to go get a veteran quarterback to come in here and try to elevate this team? Once again, alluding back to the schedule, an increase in the difficulty of the schedule. Do you go get that guy to help you compete? I'll say that from my perspective, I don't know how true a lot of the rumors are for veteran quarterbacks, some of the bigger names that I think are worth, that kind of draft capital. Your Russell Wilsons, the Deshaun Watsons of the world, the Aaron Rodgers, all those really good names that are out there. I'm not too sure those guys are necessarily leaving their situations. So I'm not too sure what you make of that because, I like Derek Carr. I think Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. I know Jimmy G has been kind of rumored here, but to be real, it wasn't so much as a rumor as it was just saying we got picks and he's going to clearly be available. That was really the only connection that was made. So, I mean, all that stuff is kind of interesting, but I will say that a lot of those quarterbacks, I have difficulty projecting as elevating the play of the players that are around them. So I don't know how much I buy into that, right? Because if you're going to do that and you're talking about keeping pace with the difficulty of your schedule now, well, then you need to have a pretty good feeling that the guys you're acquiring, the players you're acquiring, can elevate the play of the guys around them. And I'm not too sure I feel that way about some of the names that have been linked here, right? Not that they're not necessarily good quarterbacks, but do they truly elevate the play of the players around them? That's really difficult to say with a lot of these guys. So then the other thing they kind of talked about is, we have cap flexibility, which I think is very much true, that going from $90 million over the cap at one point last year to where we got under the cap, which, obviously every team has to do, every GM has to do. It's just the way the NFL rules work. With that said, we're in a much better favorable situation in 2022, and we're in a really good shape in 23 and 24. So do the Eagles go out there and do they add some pieces that are maybe not quarterback related through free agency in the draft that make this roster, incredibly competitive, right? Safety position, linebacker position, maybe positions we haven't valued so highly in the draft, but we know we need, market improvements upon, right? We know that we're going to need like guys like a Jayon Brown if you're not in the draft heavy at linebacker. Young man coming out and playing from Tennessee. Very good Mike, middle linebacker type, very fast, kind of fast flowing type. Guys like that. Do you see the Eagles kind of involved in that? Marcus Williams from the New Orleans Saints, who's a safety with New Orleans. Will the Philadelphia Eagles have interest in a guy like that? I mean, that's a really, really interesting perspective to have, is like, will they go after some of these positions that maybe they won't value as high in the draft, but you have to have like really high, improve. You need a marketable improvement. There's what I'm trying to get around to. The other position group here is clearly wide receiver. I definitely think that a veteran wide receiver makes a ton of sense for the Eagles, because we have spent a ton of draft capital between a second round pick in 2019, a first round pick in 2020, a first round pick in 2021. Then you have fifth and sixth round picks on top of it. Like, we've invested a lot in the position group through the draft and haven't necessarily hit on every one of those picks, obviously. So will they go out there, instead of risking draft capital at that position, just kind of fix it and get it right by signing a veteran guy? I definitely get that perspective. There is a ton of interest around what the Eagles could do this offseason. Like, I definitely think this is a team that has the draft capital and the, financial capabilities in terms of the cap space to really improve its roster, to kind of really take that next step forward against a slightly more difficult schedule that's going to be coming up. So with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts. What do you think, guys? I mean, I definitely think that they hit this one on the head, right? The nail was hit on the head here in terms of, okay, you got a team that has the cap flexibility, has the draft capital, has an increase in the schedule, so maybe there's going to be a little bit more of a showing on national television, right? There's going to be a little bit more anticipation to the nature of some of these games. If they roll out there with Jalen Hurts this upcoming year, there's going to be more opportunities to play teams with more than likely an opportunity to have a winning record. So maybe we won't be able to get by on some of the bad teams we got by on in the second half of last season. Lot of intrigue, a lot of interest, guys. I don't necessarily have the answer for all that stuff. I mean, I'm kind of the mindset that you just let things kind of play out and you let things do what they're going to do, and then from there, you see where you're at the end of the year, right? You see where everything kind of stands. You do your best to advance your standings, and you do your best to put this team in a situation to win a playoff game, because to me, that's the next step, right? I think at this point, you kind of want to see a little bit of proof of concept here. And that proof of concept to me is winning a playoff game, right? It's improving this roster enough with all the youth that's here to add a few mix of veterans here to finally truly beat teams with winning records. That's probably proof of concept number one, is to catch win 2 or 3 wins in a season against a decent level of competition. But then number two, that proof of concept to me would be actually winning in the playoffs, getting a victory inside the postseason. We spent a lot of draft capital on a very, very talented quarterback in Carson Wentz that put us in a very good position in 2017, but the mark on him in Philly was he never really won a playoff game. Now you got Jalen Hurts here, who you spent a second-round pick on. What do you do there? Can you get this young man to win a playoff game? All right, guys, leave your comments down below, man. I appreciate you guys.
What is up, Cerebral Nation? Hey, just to end this video, I want to tell you, I have launched the second channel. That second channel is called The Other Side of Content. I will make a community post about it. This channel is directed for all the young content creators who are out here trying to launch channels and want tips and advice. It's just really hard to communicate with so many people through primary, DMs and stuff like that, guys. So I'm creating the channel to help me. My vision, my goal is to get a lot of the guys that you guys know, the Lord Brunsons, the 5 Double O's, the Philly Mikes, the Philly Freshes, the Joe Castros of the world to come on this channel and impart some wisdom, share their advice. So guys, if you want to see that channel, just follow the link below, follow the community, post, and you'll be taken to the channel.